you could love somebody but not like them.
Hmm.
So a lot of people have love, but they don't like the person that they love. And the word that came to my mind was customer service. Encapsulated in that customer service is love. First, love for yourself,
Yeah.
because I can't give you what I don't have. And a lot of times we're trying to offer love to someone and we don't even love ourselves. And I use customer service because as soon as you wake up your eyes, as soon as you wake up and open your eyes, you're open for business. And the business of loving, I mean. So, what customer service are you offering to yourself? What love am I offering to myself? What am I putting in my eyes? What am I putting in my ears? Because if it's not in me, then I won't be able to give it to you. So, a lot of times we're trying to love from an empty tank. And so, therefore, the people we're trying to love, they never really get the full or the best customer service, I should say, from us.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Legacy Speaks. This is Sierra Hillsman, licensed professional counselor and emotional wellness coach. Today, y'all, we're going to have an amazing conversation. Y'all know I rarely get men on this podcast, so it's super exciting to have some amazing guests. I am looking forward to this conversation about communication, especially in relationships, not just romantic relationships, but all interpersonal relationships. But before I gas them up, I just wanted you guys to be able to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And if you hear anything that resonates with you, don't forget to hit that subscription button below. That way you can stay up to date on newly released content. But I'm going to introduce you guys to my guests, Joseph Wilson and Jamel Jackson. Hey guys.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? How you doing, Sierra?
Oh, well, thank y'all so much for being here. Thank y'all so much for just entering into the Legacy Speak space. I greatly appreciate it.
No doubt,
Oh,
no doubt.
man, thank you for having me. Thank you for having
Absolutely.
us.
Yeah. Can you let the people know a little bit more about yourselves as well as Wake Up and Love, the platform?
Oh,
You
sure.
want to go
Yeah,
ahead, bro.
yeah. I'll just introduce myself. First of all, I'm Joseph Wilson. I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I'm also the host of the Love Unscripted podcast. And I got my friend, my partner in making love work, Jamel Jackson. So Jamel can introduce himself.
Listen, I'm Jamel Jackson, your relationship mechanic, certified relationship coach. I focus on giving people tools to build and have healthy relationships. Also, the host of the Value TV show. And the main purpose of the show is to give people tools to build and have healthy relationships. Wherever you see me at and whatever I'm speaking about is going to be centered around relationships.
Absolutely, y'all. So we're going to dive into a couple of questions that I know a number of people are asking, right? So when we're thinking about like the concept of love, we understand that there are different variations of love. You have like that agape love. You also have like that brotherly love. Why is it so important for us to learn how to develop a sense of love, especially as we're entering into a place of community?
I feel as though love is healing power, it's sustaining power, it's life-giving power. So it's not just a bubbly feeling that we have whenever we see someone that we may like or we feel supported by someone, but it is internal power, like metaphysical power that allows us to connect and to also relate to people on a deeper level. That's what I think of when I think about why is it important, because when we truly love someone, our actions are different. Like we meet people that we're friends with and we may be cordial, but they don't get the same level of effort. They don't get the same level of commitment. They don't even get the same level of priority as someone that we deeply love. So I think that it's a power that so many people want because I think it's natural to us, but I don't think we understand how to quote unquote harness the power and use it for good, so to speak.
Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely. Jamel, you want to jump in on that?
You know, the word that comes to my mind, well, one, my cousin, we always spend time together. He says, you could love somebody, but not like them.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people have love, but they don't like the person that they love. And the word that came to my mind was customer service. Encapsulated in that customer service is love. First, love for yourself,
Yeah.
because I can't give you what I don't have. And a lot of times we're trying to offer love to someone and we don't even love ourselves. And I use customer service because as soon as you wake up as soon as you wake up and open your eyes, you're open for business. And the business of loving, I mean. So what customer service are you offering to yourself? What love am I offering to myself? What am I putting in my eyes? What am I putting in my ears? Because if it's not in me, then I won't be able to give it to you. So a lot of times we're trying to love from an empty tank. And so therefore the people we're trying to love, they never really get the full or the best customer service, I should say, from us.
Absolutely. I love both perspectives because at the core of it, it's requiring the individual to do that internal work. And when I talk about like relationships with clients, I always use this like figure, the relationship onion. And so we understand that like oftentimes people say that like, how can you love anybody else if you can't love yourself? But we know that there are some relationships that teach us how to love. And so that's why I was wondering, how do you guys help individuals cultivate that level of love as they enter into community, as well as they are in community as well? Both of you guys are leaders of an amazing community, Wake Up and Love, and I've had the pleasure to be able to sit there and watch people talk about their loving and healing journey. And so I just wanted to ask you guys, how has it been? I guess, how has it been being in a space to not only facilitate love, but also to teach people how to love at the same time?
Oh, I've been loving it. Like
Mhm.
literally, like I really thoroughly enjoyed walking alongside people as they try to figure it out. And one of the things as far as community that I'm really big on, and I want everyone who's listening to hear this, that love doesn't just happen by happenstance. It's very intentional. And we tend to think with love, it's just something that happens to us. And if something is just happening to us, then we're not in control of how it shows up, what we do in response to it, and how we receive it from others.
Mhm.
But what I've learned just from my therapeutic education and just reading and just living, there's a lot that you're in control of. And when I started to switch the mindset from love is just happening, I am prisoner to its effects,
Mhm.
to the fact that I can intentionally direct where love goes and how it is experienced. Now that's empowering.
Mm.
That's empowering. Now, what people do to me does not have to impact me as much. Now, I don't have to be subject to just my feelings and emotions when someone makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to be prisoner to that. So, in the community, being able to teach skills that cultivate and bring about love is what I'm about and what our community is about as well.
Hey, lovely. Shout out to you because I know mental and emotional wellness is important to you. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. But lean in really quickly because I know sometimes it's really hard to create a plan and actually sticking to it. So let's take your mental health to another level. Ever wonder what keeps you from fully executing? Ever wonder how you can build the confidence for decision making? Well, guess what? You're not alone and I'm here to help. So head over to mentalhealthgoals.com for your free mental health plan. It'll give you practical strategies for addressing your current mental health needs. But first, you got to tap in. So head over to mentalhealthgoals.com to receive your free mental health action plan today. Do it right now. Mentalhealthgoals.com. See you soon.
Yeah, I think Joe encapsulated everything in a nutshell. To add to that, it's for me listening, not to judge. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a skill set that a lot of coaches and people in the counseling or therapy space is that listening, not to judge, and remembering that we were speaking about this just this past Monday, that it's okay not to be okay. Because even just taking the steps to love yourself, that can be difficult for some. Even though we say, it's easy, just love yourself. And I said that, but it's not easy sometimes for some people. Sometimes they need someone to walk them through the process of just, before I love anybody else, I got to be okay with me not being okay. And then how do I love myself? And understanding that it's not easy all the time. And it's going to just take some time and community to love on you enough where you feel comfortable. I can love myself. I don't need to do this to my mind. I don't need to do this to my body, to my spirit, to my emotions. I can love myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And underneath all of that, I'm hearing the importance of communication, right? And when we are journeying on the process of developing healthy communication, we know that there's going to be like a transformation in the exchange. What are some communication do's and don'ts that help to cultivate that love that we're talking about?
I love this.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll do a do is to listen, to understand, and not just to respond. Off rip, we got to flip that switch of only picking and dissecting what they're saying so I can disprove somebody. It, come on, like no one wants to lose an argument. No one wants to lose a discussion. So being able to make the mental shift to hearing to understand them, even if I don't agree. That's the other part. You can listen to understand and still not agree with what's being said, but I do need to hear you, because if I am solution focused, if this is someone that I love and that I care about, at some point I'm gonna want some type of resolution and a solution for what we're going through. So if I'm operating in good faith, I have to be able to listen to understand you and not just to like quick throw a response because I found one little word that you said wrong or one detail. No, it wasn't 7:30, it was 7:45. Now the whole conversation, and I'm not listening. So that one of the do's is please listen to understand rather than just to respond.
And I guess I'll take the position of the don't, because we were talking about this last month and the theme was communication made easy. I would say avoid criticism. So, and if you're going to criticize, balance it with at least one positive comment. I gave the example of someone saying, I appreciate how you take the trash out each week. In the future, can you remember to also wheel the trash can back from the end of the driveway? You see the difference? Because some people would say, man, you don't ever take the trash out. Well, okay, but the critical part is I want you to bring the trash back to the driveway. So if I'm going to criticize you, balance it with at least one positive comment.
Absolutely, absolutely. So two things I'm hearing is not only listening to understand, but also listening to hear. That's very important. Not only hearing the practical and tangible verbiage that's being like presented to you, but also hearing the nonverbals, like the rates of speech, the intonation, things of that nature. And then for you, Jamel, is also effectively communicating clearly and all the way through, providing the additional details. That reminds me of this skill because y'all know, like I get in my clinical bag from time to time, but like in DBT, which is dialectical behavior therapy, we utilize an interpersonal skill called Dear Man. And so that acronym stands for describe, express, assert, reward. And then the man part is to remain mindful, appear confident, and to negotiate as well. And so finding ways to make sure that you are clear in what it is that you're actually wanting and effectively communicating that, but also doing that inner work to make sure that that messaging is communicated directly and concisely. Yeah.
And here's the thing. I believe when it comes to any type of relationship, especially intimate, when we're talking about these skill sets of communication, we got to be mindful with our partners. I always say you're complimenting them, not competing. You have to be complimenting your partner, not competing. And that complimenting goes with healthy communication, because the minute we start competing, we're on the same team. You're my partner. You're my teammate. You never seen Jordan trying to ridicule Scottie Pippen. They were both complimenting each other in communication and skill set so they could win the championship. We got to understand we're trying to win the championship. And the moment that I start competing with you versus complimenting you, then we're already setting ourselves up for failure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. When even like the concept of like competition, there is a lot of need for trying to figure out where that need to compete stems from. And so how do you guys work through some of the baggage that comes with trying to form healthy relationships in a community?
Understanding that everyone has their own unique experience, understanding that everyone did not grow up or have the same support or have the same circumstances as you. And then from that point, having compassion on people. Like, I don't think we do enough of that in the world. Like, compassion for people and their experience. We're quick to judge.
Yeah.
I will say that we're quick to put judgment, blame, criticism on people's life experiences, where a lot of the stuff that people experience, it happened to them. Like, if we think about a lot of the behaviors that adults have and how we show up in relationships, we know how to we learned it from our parents or our caregivers. Like, that's not something that we chose. I'm pretty sure everyone would choose to have a healthy home where they saw how to communicate, where they could respect each other's differences and serve each other well, but not everybody did that. So I think compassion is needed. And then the next part is after we understand that people had their own unique experiences, we have compassion on them. How do we move forward together to achieve a common goal, especially in community? Like, what are we all here for? And if the goal and what we try to set out is like, we want to be able to form, create, and maintain healthy relationships. So how do you do that? We have to have skills. What do you do with these skills once you get them? You have to practice them. If you don't know how to implement them, you ask questions. So these are how some of the ways in which in community you respect the differences, but then also have compassion on people, knowing that they may not get it right all the time because you may not get it right. And then what do I need additionally to be better? That's the skills. That's how you do it in community.
Yeah. Having an intentional focus. So when we're in the community, my focus is very intentional to focus on the good qualities of each person and praise them for that. Because even when you do relationship assessments, there's going to be weak areas in someone's assessment. And even when we're on a call, but however, that's not the focus. The focus is on the good qualities. The focus is on the areas that you are strong in. So as those areas are strengthened and you receive praise in those areas, the weak areas will eventually come up.
There are two things that come up for me is like the emphasis on like strengths-based skills, or at least like focusing on strength building techniques and strategies. We understand that like everybody is good at something, and I'm pretty sure that you guys notice this when you're asking clients or you're asking group members what is it that you've been successful at, what are you good at, what are your gifts, talents, and capabilities. It's easy for us to pinpoint our flaws and our shortcomings, but when we put the spotlight on the things that we're really good at, sometimes individuals struggle to identify that because they may not even see it as a strength to begin with. So immediately I was thinking about that. Like, if a person wants to enter into a community and build healthy relationships, they need to learn how to stand firm on the strengths that they can bring to the table. They need to be confident in the value that they bring to the community. So that's one thing that I was thinking about. The other thing just completely slipped my mind, but yes, let's talk about that point.
Yeah. On that point about strengths, I don't think people play to their strengths enough.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we think that we have to be well-rounded and good at every single thing. When even in our counseling fields, we have specialties and areas of emphasis that we work on. Like, I'm not the strongest in eating disorders.
Yeah.
I'm not proficient in dealing with hallucinations and auditory challenges. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
But that's also not the expectation for me to be extremely good in all of these. And I think sometimes we try to overemphasize the weaknesses rather than using your strengths to support you until you are a little bit better in those areas. Think about, like, just even in sports, quarterbacks are not figuring out how to be the best lineman. Even though they're a football player, they're on the field, they have the same goal. We don't go tell Tom Brady, go get out there and run a route. But he has a specific area that he's good at, and he has people around him who compliment him, like Jamel said, that bring out the best. And when you find a partner that compliments you, you don't necessarily have to completely correct everything that you're not good at, because it's going to bring about your best qualities. So I think that's
think about this, guys. If we spend, or some of us spend, or even people that we're coaching or counseling spend majority of their life where their flaws are highlighted, where everything they did negative is highlighted, where the traumatic experience is highlighted instead of the things that I do very well or the things I do effortlessly, then what we have the tendency to do is we start to mimic other people. So now I'm trying to mimic someone and perform so the people that have been highlighting my flaws can give me praise. But here's the danger of that, because now I'm mimicking someone or becoming something that I'm not truly, that I'm not. And so as I begin to try to put effort into something that I'm not, instead of walking in my own uniqueness, now that even get high, that begins to be highlighted as a flaw because I can't do that well either. So that's the danger of that. So this is why we need to highlight people's strengths. It's very important, and people need to be aware of that. But once again, it's not easy because most of us have spent our lives where our flaws were highlighted. We enter into an intimate relationship, and they say, "Man, you can't do this right. You can't do that right." And once it triggers things, and so it comes up, and so we say, "Oh well, let me become this." Now the man becomes this other type of man, maybe a hard go-getter grind. Now he's out there. Now he's missing time and with his children and his wife, and now she's mad at that, or vice versa. Now the guy's like, man, you can't, I'm just going to say this. This is real life stuff. You can't perform well in bed. That's a trigger for her. Now she feels, okay, maybe I need to act like something else. So now she may find herself diving into watching things that she shouldn't be watching, listening to a crowd she shouldn't be listening to. And now she's transforming into someone that she's not truly. And that doesn't even fit the scenario because she comes home to that. She comes home with this new image and he's like, what are you doing? Yeah. Now we are confused. All right, well, now we roll into this identity crisis.
Absolutely.
Because I really don't know who I am now, because I've been trying to appease everybody because nobody loves the way that I truly am.
Exactly.
Hey y'all, it's Sierra. Make sure you head over to shoplegacysbks.com to check out the latest gear. As always, we have the classic therapy is dope crew neck as well as tees. So head over to cop your crew neck today. It comes in heather navy, that cardinal red, as well as that beautiful gold that we love to see. So head over to purchase yours, not only for yourself, but also for a friend as well. And we are offering free shipping right now. So head over to shoplegacysbks.com to cop all of your therapy's dope gear and check out all the other additional merch as well.
And that's something that I noticed as well. I was going to bring that up. The shutting down of the true authentic self, just to be able to turn down the nagging and the noise from the world. Oftentimes individuals struggle in places of community because they feel like they may not be accepted, or they feel like they have to show up a specific way, that representative. And so what are some ways that we can help individuals start to break down that representative so that they can engage in community from a place of relentless honesty?
So here's the thing.
Go ahead, Joe.
Go ahead for it.
I was talking about this on a show with someone, and it requires a reverse engineering, because you've been engineered, you've been constructed now into someone who you're not, from a child. And maybe for some people, it may have been from when they were a child. And for some people, it may have started in their teens. Some people, it may have started when they were adult. And I always emphasize, once again, the strength of community, because now your environment is so crucial to your well-being and your growth. If a plant's in the wrong environment, my mom just gave me and my wife a plant, and my mother's like a plantologist. I know that's not even the word. What's the word? Herbologist. Like she's into these plants, and she's giving my wife and us this plant. And me ignorant to the plants, I'm learning as I go. I love them. And she's like, Jamel, what we're going to do is we're going to take the plant out the pot, and you need to get a pot 2 times the size of the pot that I'm taking it out of so I can transplant it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I get the pot, I'm at our house, and I'm like, let's just pull it out and put it in. She said, no, you can't just do that. And I'm like, well, it's a plant, just put the dirt in there. Let's put the plant. She's like, no, you're going to shock the plant, Jamel. The plant will actually die. So I'm like, okay, cool. So then she's like, okay, when you get it to the house, make sure you find a specific place to put the plant, and don't keep moving the plant all around the house. I said, I'm thinking this is a plant. She's like, no, when you do that, you're shocking the plant. You will actually stunt the growth of the plant by maneuvering it in these different positions and putting it in different places. You have to put it somewhere and ground it So it's in the right environment. She said, then Jamel, that's how you get the plants that you see in my living room growing 6, 7, 8 feet tall. And so I'm saying that to say that's how crucial the environment is. Sometimes we're planting ourselves in places where it's not healthy to our development, not healthy to our growth. And yeah, man, wow, yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things. Oh, were you about to say?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say one of the things, especially so people can have that brutal honesty, is we have to be very authentic with ourselves. Like we have to be able to say where we are, and once again, not necessarily place judgment on it. I am at this point. I've been this way for a while, and I still have the capability to change. We got to start putting "and" instead of saying "but." Like we cut off like a lot of positive flow by adding "but." But when you start putting "and," I have been this way for this long, and I have the opportunity to change. So as we have to start saying more affirming kind of language to ourselves, we have to change the messaging of what we're telling ourselves and challenge negative thoughts that counteract where we want to go. And so in community, we really try to focus on highlighting the positive, because sometimes we got to borrow that from other people, because we may be in a headspace where I can't even think something positive. I believe I'm the worst person on the planet. So how do we do that in community? Like pulling from people's positive experiences, having other people say things about you to be able to lift you up. When I was doing group work, a lot of it, of helping people move from standstill to just one step is having other people say positive things about you. And you will be surprised just how people like, it's a shock, but it's a step in the right direction, because now you heard something different. Now your brain can rewire itself to start receiving different messaging. Once you've accepted it, start changing the messaging.
Oh,
and we have to understand, whatever you behold, you will become. Whatever you're constantly consuming, wherever you're constantly putting yourself, whatever you're constantly hearing, and whatever you're constantly seeing, you will eventually become. And I know it's once again, it's not easy, but whatever you behold, you will become. So we have to constantly guard our ears and our eye gates. So when people are in our community, that's why we're being consistent with highlighting the great parts of them and not the flaws. You know, even if we may know it, I mean, as a wise person, that's not what you're doing. We're here to sow seeds of goodness, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. With both of you guys, one thing that's coming up for me is learning to come downstairs and be fully present in the moment. When you come downstairs, you have no opportunity to be able to stay in your head and start to ruminate and like engage in that self-sabotaging behavior. Even in the group setting, one thing that I always tell clients is learn to relate your way in instead of comparing your way out. Find something that you can relate to with somebody, even if it's like, oh, we wore the same colored chucks today, or, oh, you talked about how traumatic your experience was when you fell off of a boat. Whatever it is, find one thing to relate your way in instead of connecting your way out or comparing your way out. That helps you to be able to start developing those relationships in places that you didn't even think that you would be able to develop relationships in.
That's good. That's real good. Wow. You know what's interesting? As much as we say just change your environment, it is very crucial, but it's going to be foreign to a lot of us. Some of us have never been in communities. Some of us have never been around healthy conversations. Some of us have never been around positive talk, you know, or healthy affirmations. It sounds foreign, you know, where somebody's complimenting the strength areas of your life. Man, you did a good job, man. And for some of us, that may be a trigger to what do they want? What are they up to? Because maybe throughout their life, when somebody complimented them or gave them praise, it was what's the word? There was an ulterior motive connected to it instead of authenticity. So now they're side-eyeing. What does he want? What does she want? And we're entering into relationships like this. So in our position, we got to be very careful and very mindful that we're dealing with all of these elements.
Absolutely. What you're talking about is like people being concerned about whether or not that's a tool of manipulation. However, I would like to tie that into what we started off with, this conversation of like operating in love. When you are operating in genuine love of self as well as genuine love of other people, you don't have to worry about another person's ulterior motives because you're so grounded in that love that's within. So that irregardless of what your intentions are, I don't care, like peace be with you and like God bless you, I'm still gonna keep living my life and not be bound to whatever evil is living within. I think that's how healthy communities thrive. Creating the culture of we're going to exude love, we're going to exemplify beautiful connections, we're going to operate in healthy communication, we're going to make these the standard regardless of like whatever toxic behavior may enter into our group. Because if everybody's on the same page, then that one person is going to become uncomfortable and eventually leave the community.
Yeah, with go ahead, Joe.
No, I was just going to say real quick, and community is also a great space to relearn what it is to connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
Like we may not always have people who understand where we're at, but groups and community that are focused and have the same goal and intention is a great place to relearn what it means to connect. And that's what like relationship is really about, is the connection. And even that example of someone being nice to me, you got to have positive experiences with people being nice to you without an ulterior motive to start trusting again.
Yeah.
I can't just be by myself and do life and expect that I will just somehow by osmosis start trusting people again.
Right.
No, you need an environment where you have small opportunities for people to be kind to you and to receive it, and for your central nervous system to not shoot up. How do you do that safely without community? And I think community is a great way that we can get those experiences in a safe way, so that when we go out into the real world, our guard is not so up.
Yeah.
And our objective is never to force growth. So when you use that word manipulation, there can be groups and there can be individuals that want to force growth upon someone, but then that's manipulation. I think our objective is more so planting and watering, like a farmer. A farmer plants a seed in the ground, he waters it, and he goes about his business.
Yeah.
You know, he's never standing there, and if the apple sprouts, its plant comes out the ground, he's like, oh, come on, let me pull it up. No, you're trying to force growth. Any forced growth is a form of manipulation. And a lot of times that's what people have the tendency to do. So in the group, we're like, look, no, we're going to plant, we're going to water, and whatever that planting and water looks like, whether it's encouraging, whether it's giving you some tools, some information, bringing in a certified speaker to pour into the community. And then after that, the growth happens naturally. We're not trying to force anyone to become something that they're not.
Oh, that's good. Jamel, you talking spicy, because, you know, a lot of these coaching groups, they like to say success loves speed. And, you know, that may be... It's very counter to like the process of growth and development. Change is something that is continuous over time. It's gonna go at its own specific pace, and I don't think a lot of people feel like they have the freedom, especially in personal development spaces, to be able to create a certain pace for themselves when it comes to change.
And think about,
I would say,
from.
Look at this, outside of the creator of your life, I can't expedite your growth.
Exactly.
I can't do that. You know, I can't expedite your growth. If we take if anybody ever put a bike together or did any type of construction, if you take a 1/4-inch screw, and let me just say a 1/2-inch screw, and you try to screw it into an 1/8-inch hole. Now I said a 1/2-inch screw and try to squeeze it into an 1/8-inch hole. It's not going in. But what we have a tendency to do, the word manipulate is not a bad word. It's all in how it's used. Because I remember, I go back to my dad, when we try to get a couch through a door, he said, look, take the door hinges off. Let's remove the door. So we would remove the door. And then we would try to get the couch through the door. And he would say, just manipulate it a little bit. Just kind of turn it in a way that it doesn't normally go. So we can get it through the door. Then we'll get it through the door and we'll put the couch down. Now, in relationships, we try to force ourselves in. So like that 1/2-inch screw trying to go into an 1/8-inch hole, it doesn't fit. Sometimes people don't fit in your group. And sometimes you don't fit in their lives, but we'll try to force our way in, and that's manipulation. So I'm trying to force this screw in. And what happens is the screw, just like on a bike, if you try to put it into that same hole, the screw loses its groove. And a lot of us has put things together and we force the screw in there, like, oh, there it is right there. I made it work. And so if you look at the child riding that tricycle, the bike is kind of wobbly and we're looking like something's not right. We can see from the outside that something's wrong because the screw was forced in and it lost its groove. Now here's the danger, because when you go to pull the screw out, it loses the groove. And now the screw is not even, and it's no good any longer. And we force ourselves into people's lives. We force ourselves into having them grow at an exponentially speed that we're not capable of. And so we lose ourselves in the process.
Mm-hmm.
We lose our groove. And now it's not even a community. Now it's no groove. It's no rhythm. There's no authenticity, and everybody's angry and people are frustrated. And with me and Joe, I'm glad that there's a synergy, that we're here to just, like I said, this is not manipulation. This is plant, water, and allow people to grow and develop at their speed.
Love it, love it, love it. Like, Joe, you had something that you were going to hop in on?
No, just talking about the speed thing. Like, we are in the healing business. Healing does not necessarily, is not necessarily a quick process. It doesn't happen expeditiously, as T.I. would say. And if we think about it, society has programmed us to want results quick. We want results quick. And what is so unfortunate, it was like the pandemic was a good and a bad thing at the same time, because before it, there were not many podcasts talking about healing, wellness, mental health, relationships. Everybody went inside and everyone just got on a camera and started talking. We had instant information at our fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
When there is a lack of obstacles, we tend to think that we should get results much quicker. But with emotions, with our experiences, we can't rush that. Sierra, you know this. When we're doing intakes, people are asking questions. One of the questions I often get is, well, how long will it take?
Yeah.
Like, how quick will this be? Like, how soon can I get over my PTSD? Like, how soon can I get rid of this anxiety? But what's the real answer to that? I don't know. Listen, I'm very authentic. I say I don't know a lot of times. Like, there are things that I just don't know. And time is definitely not one of them, because there's a lot of things that determine at what rate we heal. Absolutely. A doctor will give you a regimen to make sure you get rid of a rash, to take care of a wound, things of that nature. If you do it with fidelity, there is a range of time that you could probably say, hey, if you do this consistently, you won't delay yourself. At least you can say you won't delay the healing. We can't say, oh, it'll be exactly 2 months, because everybody's situation is different. Same thing when you come in community. Some people may get the skill, be able to use it, and their challenge goes away in 2 months, 3 months, where some, based on whatever's going on internally, it may take 4 to 6 months to start making that progress that they want. Either way, the progress is still a good thing. I try to take the emphasis on how much time it's taking and put more emphasis on how are you feeling as you're healing.
Exactly.
Because that can change. How are you feeling as you're healing?
Yeah. Like, focusing in on the process. Even then, if we're going to maintain the analogy of planting, right? We understand that there's a lot that goes into it, right? The amount of exposure to sun, the grade of soil, how many times you are consistently being watered, things of that nature. If the plant is next to another plant that is similar to it, and if it's budding and germinating, like, are there any bugs within the home that are gravitating to the plant? There are just so many different aspects that contribute to one's healing and growth development that I don't think a lot of people consider, right? So even when we're talking about growing, who are you connected to? What resources are you leveraging? What conversations are you engaging in? How long have you been in that tumultuous relationship? How long have you been engaging in these maladaptive behavior patterns and things of that nature? Like even with the analogy of the screw being in like the hole or the groove, immediately I pictured a heart, right? So like you're forcing whatever it is into your heart, and then it's being pulled out, and there's this gaping hole. And now you're wanting somebody to come in and hurry up and patch it up and fix it. Well, it can be done, but understand that there's going to be some welding, there's going to be some deconstructing, there's going to be some other things that are going to have to take place for you to be able to start closing in that hole so you can ride your bike again. And I don't think a lot of people recognize the importance of giving yourself patience and grace throughout this reconstruction process.
I always say we like the idea. Everybody knows me. I'll share this every time. We like the idea of healthy relationships, but we don't like the commitment, the effort, the work, the responsibility that it takes to achieve it.
Yeah.
We like it, we want it, but when it's time to put the effort and the work and the responsibility in, then it's like I don't want to show up. I give the analogy of a business. No, we like the idea, but I want to do a great business. I want to build this business. I want to build this business. I want to do this. And sometimes we don't do it. And then we see it later on in life. And we say, man, I had the same idea. It's just like, and so somebody stole my idea. And that happens in relationships. I want to be married. I want to be healthy. I want to be strong. I want a husband. I want the wife. But you don't want the commitment, work, responsibility that comes with this committed or married relationship. And so therefore, it's just an idea to you. And an idea means nothing. And it's only so long that you can keep coming around people or be in a community that's full of executors or people who are taking action, speaking these ideas before people start saying, man, what's wrong with you? And the thing about it is, if you don't execute on the idea, eventually someone will come along that has the same idea that you had. And let's, God forbid, it's a woman that was in your life or a man that was in your life, and they bump into each other and they have the same idea and they steal your idea. I'm just being honest right here. We love the commit. We don't like the commitment, the work, and the responsibility that comes with it. And this goes into.
But Jamel, when it's right, when you find the right one, it's supposed to be easy. I'm not supposed to be going through all of this. I ain't getting no relationship to still be facing challenges. I want love. I want to feel good. I want to be able to post the vacation. I want to do the matching pajamas. I don't want to sit there and have to communicate. What do you mean?
Or if you let it go and it comes back, that it's meant for me. But if it doesn't come back, then it clearly wasn't for me.
Come on, can we be honest? For real.
Listen, I stand to annihilate all this confusion because once again, that word commitment, there's a lot inside of that. That word effort, there's a lot inside of that. We broke this down in our community. That word responsibility, there's a lot encapsulated in each one of those words. But it's a good thing. Why wouldn't I want to be responsible if I'm not good at communicating? The responsible thing to do is get good communication skills. How does that look? Maybe I got to join a community. Maybe I got to reach out to a counselor, a coach, a therapist, a psychiatrist, a doctor, or maybe I got to read some books. That's responsible because I love this person that I'm with. Why wouldn't I want to put in the effort? I put in effort for everything else in my life. I put in effort to put my Instagram post up in timeline for Facebook and put in effort to go reach out to my friends on Facebook or whatever social media platform. But when it comes to this person I say I want to do life with, I don't want to put in any effort. Why wouldn't I want to? If not, then it's just an idea. And you have some people walking through life. There's just two ideas walking along the path. There's two ideas just laying in the bed. Two ideas that's standing at the altar and they're about to say, I do, but they don't realize the commitment, work, and responsibility that's about to take place. Why wouldn't I want to be committed to exercising and growing in my relationship? Why wouldn't I want to be committed to it? It's not, I think we look at these words when we say commitment, work, or effort and responsibility. Oh, I got to do something. It's a good thing. It's a great doing something. This is for the person that I plan on doing life with, whether married or committed. Why wouldn't I want to do that? And the reason why sometimes we don't want to do it is because society has put this framework in our minds, once again, like Joseph said, that it doesn't take all of that.
Right.
And so this is why you see people swapping ideas all day. That's all we're doing. We're just swapping ideas with, just like a business person. I keep reiterating and using that analogy because I got an idea today. I got an idea tomorrow. But until you do something with it, until you go down or go online and register it as an LLC or an S Corp or a nonprofit, it means nothing. And so your relationship post means nothing until you execute it. All the talk about this boo and this bae, it means nothing until we see some execution take place. Oh, she looks good. I want her to be my girl. Well, you're going to have to ask her. Oh, we should go down that lane, because many women are walking with men who don't ask them to be their girl, and they stick and stay for a month, 2 months, 6 months, 8 months. And you say, hey, is that your man? I don't know. He just trying to wait until what? That's that, huh? Or that's my boo, that's my bae. Okay, now what? Now what's next? I could see her as my wife. I could see him as my husband. Sounds like a great idea, but it means nothing until someone, and well, I would say the man, I know we're in a different society, but until the man kneels down and says, hey, if the person desires to be married, will you marry me? Until then, you're just two walking ideas.
That's good. Absolutely. And y'all, I don't want for anybody who's listening to this, it's not just focusing on romantic relationships. We're also talking about friendships as well. That whole concept of like work smarter and not harder. Like, yes, you want to be efficient and effective, but efficiency does not negate intent. It doesn't negate intentionality. So make sure that you're putting in the work, finding ways that this is where effective communication comes in, because instead of trying to mind read, instead of trying to fortune tell or whatever cognitive distortion that you typically utilize, just effectively communicate with the person so that you guys can find common ground and find direction for where you want this relationship to go.
You know, look, can I say something real quick? And Joe, I already know Joe can add to this because we have a synergy. When you're going through this healing phase and connecting, I know this is touchy for some of us, but it's directly connected to your healing. There will be some people that you're going to have to let go. I know you grew up with them. You've been with them since middle school and high school, and y'all went to the same college and shared the same dorm room. And then we were frat brothers or whatever the case may be. But the healing phase and the development and the growth that you desire and that you need is going to have to require for the relationship possibly to be severed. And that's a difficult stage for some people right there. And Joe, how do we get past that phase?
It's not comfortable. It's not comfortable. But if you are able to have a procedure and process for how you dictate who gets access to you, set that, having those boundaries already in place makes it easier to be able to distance yourself. Now, I'm not saying you got to completely, when you do have to cut some people off, depending on the relationship, how things go, you will have to completely stop talking to some people. But how do you cut off mom? Like, how do you cut off dad? Like people that are like family, like how do you just, so what you do is you have to set boundaries and limits for which you operate with people, for which you engage. Having a set line that, hey, once I get to this point in the conversation, I have to exit out of it. Or even knowing, and after we've communicated and verbalized what our boundary is, if people continue to step past it, clearly say, hey, because this boundary is continued to be have been crossed, I'm going to distance myself. That's it. Now, it's going to take a lot of courage and strength to be able to uphold that, because people are going to try to press it. They are going to try to guilt you into connecting with them. They're going to try to guilt you into answering the phone call or the text. They're going to try to guilt you and play on your heart that, hey, what happened to what we had? Man, we were friends, like you said. But being able to have those hard limits, being able to do the boundaries, have them set, protects you. This is about protection. It's not about being standoffish. It's not about not wanting to be close to people. It's about protecting self. And there's a reason why I have to protect myself. And that's very much self-awareness to know that and to act on it. So it is tough. I'm not going to act like it's easy. But once we've gone through the steps, you can, with a clear mind, say, you know what? I did my part. I did my part. They have to, if they want relationship and connection and access to me, they're going to have to meet me halfway.
Absolutely. Yeah. When we're talking about boundaries, it's not just one thing to establish them maintaining them is so, so important. I think oftentimes people think that, okay, I'm going to set this boundary for them, but no, setting boundaries and abiding by your own boundaries, it helps to combat that self-betrayal. And it also makes sure that the other person knows how serious you are, because if you retract that boundary, you're enabling their behavior. You're basically co-signing their behavior and saying that you can do this to me over and over. And granted, that's not what you want, but make sure that you are establishing, maintaining, and reinforcing that boundary. Y'all, this has been a real dope conversation. Thank y'all so much for talking about love and community, communication and community. Can you please let the people know where they can find you, how they can stay tapped in with both of you guys?
Oh, most definitely. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe. Well, I'm Jamel D Jackson. It's Jamel D Jackson on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I think those are the only ones that I'm on. So I'm not on Snapchat, but Jamel D Jackson.
You ain't on Snapchat.
I ain't on Snapchat.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at love.unscripted. You can find me on YouTube at Love Unscripted HD. You can find me on all podcast streaming platforms. Just search Love Unscripted Podcast. And if you want to follow the community, WakeUpAnLove.com is where we meet every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, where we have licensed therapists such as Sierra and psychiatrists, doctors, certified life and relationship coaches that provide evidence-based tools and strategies for starting and maintaining healthy relationships. So that's where you can find us.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. And like y'all know, the podcast is called Legacy Speaks. So please let the people know what you would like your legacy to say about you.
I just want people to know that Joseph cared and that love can win.
Yeah. I want people to know that Jamel served. He served people with all his heart, all his mind, all his soul, and that his main objective was to build healthy relationships.
Oh, that's beautiful. All right, y'all. Once again, this is the Legacy Speaks podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And if there was anything that resonated with you, please let the people know by tagging us, okay? Get the snippets going. Make sure that you are tagging Joseph and Jamel at all things in their hashtags as well and their handles. Once again, my name is Sierra Hillsman, licensed professional counselor and emotional wellness coach. Please stay tuned for the next episode and check out all the previous episodes. We've had an amazing catalog. We're in the hundreds now with our episodes, y'all. So please make sure that y'all are tapping in, okay? And definitely stay tuned for more to come. And thank y'all so much for tuning in. Until next time.
Thank you, Sierra.